Hey folks, Zach Osterman, Insider Indianapolis Star. We are really arriving at the end of IU's football camp. The Hoosiers will kick off their season in just a few days, August 30th, their opener. At home against Old Dominion, it will be, if you haven't seen the news, at Merchants Bank Field at Memorial Stadium, thanks to a new field sponsorship agreement signed between the university and Merchants Bank. You can read more about that at indystar.com/sports. Just to give some thoughts kind of here near the end of camp, I think, maybe things that are top of mind as Indiana's preseason finally winds down. I think that the first one is there is a palpable sense of confidence in this team, and I don't think that should be a surprise. Indiana obviously had some pieces to replace from last season's team. Of course, had to bring Fernando Mendoza in, revamp the offensive line. I think there are still some questions about Indiana's defensive line rotation, its secondary depth, particularly at safety. But there are also a lot of proven returning players on this roster. When you think about preseason All-Big Ten, preseason All-American caliber players, there's a lot of talent for Curt Cignetti to work with and a lot of confidence that he can build a winner out of that. I think Mendoza is obviously a big talking point. Again, when you talk about confidence, I think there's a lot of confidence in Mendoza. I think there's also a lot of confidence in his offensive line, which, of course, one of the big talking points for Mendoza at Cal was at times the interception numbers, and then certainly 41 sacks in 12 games last season. The idea that he might be playing in front of a much sturdier offensive line this season is, I think, sort of really lending extra confidence, in what is already, I think, a great deal of confidence in Mendoza as a quarterback and his ability to sort of captain that offense and make a lot of plays within Cignetti's and Mike Shanahan's offense. I think there are still questions, even if you have the Mikhail Kamaras, Amari Farrells, D'Angelo Pons, Aiden Fishers, etc. There are going to be a lot of new faces, either transfers or young players coming up through the defensive line rotation at linebacker next to Fisher, certainly in that secondary. And that's probably where, over those first 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to be looking closely to see how much depth does Indiana have, who really stands out. Does anybody get injured? Are there any surprises? I think that's the first big question, is just how that defensive depth chart, that 2 deep, fleshes out over the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season, obviously building into Illinois. But it should be interesting. For Indiana fans, it'll be exciting, and we'll be there every step of the way. indystar.com/sports. For the Indianapolis Star, I'm Zach Osterman. Thanks so much for watching. We'll talk to you soon.